On January 18, 1452, Pope Nicholas V issued Dom de Vassas, a papal bull to Portugal's king, Afonso V. It authorized the conquest of Saracens, Muslims, pagans, and other unbelievers in Africa who resisted Christianity, even permitting their perpetual enslavement. This was part of broader papal support for Portugal's expansion against Muslim powers, laying early groundwork for European colonial ventures and the Atlantic slave trade. While rooted in the Crusader-era mindset of defending the faith, it had lasting consequences, fueling centuries of exploitation. Let me say that again. Pope Nicholas V signed a document called Don de Vassas. It says, any land not inhabited by Christians had no rightful owner. It authorized Christian monarchs to invade, capture, vanquish, and reduce non-Christian people to perpetual slavery and to seize everything they owned. That document did not come from nowhere. It came from a theological system that had already decided some people are chosen and everyone else is available. And it worked because the people it was used against already knew something that the document was designed to erase. The greatest colonization tool ever created was not the gun, it was religion. Because the gun controls the body for a generation. But religion controls the mind, the conscience, the imagination, the sense of self, the relationship with ancestry, the definition of what is sacred for centuries. Before colonization, Africa had trade routes that crossed the continent, intermarrying kingdoms, shared philosophical traditions, complementary spiritual system, a continent that largely moved as connected civilization. Then religion arrived and drew lines, Christian African, Muslim African, and within those, Catholic, Protestant, Pentecostal, Sunni, Shia, each line a wall, a suspicion, a reason not to unite. Nigeria alone, a country that should be the most powerful nation on earth by every measure of resources and human capital, is perpetually divided along religious lines that were drawn by the same powers that are currently extracting everything beneath her soil. Why Nigerians should send religion packing? Religion is the qualified political party in Nigeria. You do not need a manifesto. You do not need a development plan. You do not need a record of service. You need a church that endorses you, a mosque that announces you, a pastor who lays hands on you, and an imam who prays over you, and the people who have been trained to submit their conscience to religious authority we follow. Not because they are foolish, because they were trained from childhood. That spiritual submission is the highest virtue. And who trained them? The same architecture that started with a papal pen in 1452, that called their ancestors barbarians, that told them their grandfather's wisdom was primitive, that replaced the god of the forest with the god of the empire, and handed them a book and said, this is civilization. African would do well to send religion packing, not God. Listen to that, not God, not consciousness, not ancestral wisdom, not the law written in the human heart. Religion, the institution, the structure, the hierarchy, the submission architecture, the tool of division, the political party without a manifesto. Because the day Africa recovers its own conscience, its own ancestral framework, its own definition of the sacred, is the day the extraction becomes significantly harder. Before any book, before any religion, before any papal documents, we had a system of justice that worked. Will you accept what you are doing to someone else? Will it be done unto you and you will be grateful? Do unto others what you will they do to you. That was our system of justice. It was written in our hearts, not in a book. In our heart. It was the gospel preached to us by our parents. If two childs are fighting and they come to the parents, even at the very youngest age, you ask them a very simple question. A question that judges itself. It needs no courtroom. It needs no document manipulated by experts. dressed in a uniform of the colonial masters. Just ask the simple question, will it be done unto you? And you need nobody to answer that. The answer comes from within. A law is installed in the lived experience of the self. If they do it to me, can I take it? That was the law that governs every community, every tribe, every land in our continent. And the justice is immediate. It answers itself. You hear the man say, because I cannot accept this, I won't do it to others. That is not religion. That is consciousness functioning as it was designed. The individual conscience, awakened by personal experience, becoming the judge of every actions taken toward another human being, not an external judge. Dressed in a courtroom like the colonial master, ready to deceive and distort truth. Not a distant God on a throne. Not a pastor interpreting scripture. The self measuring its own action against what is already known. Will I accept it? That is equity. That is fairness. That is the law written in every human being before any civilization claimed to bring it. And that is precisely what 1452 was designed to destroy. Because a people governed by that internal law cannot easily be convinced that another human being has no rights, cannot easily be told that another people's land is available, cannot easily be made to participate in another person's suffering without their own conscience rising up against them. So, the conscience had to be redirected at source, handed to an external authority who would tell you what God thinks. So you would stop listening to what you already know. That is the oldest and the most sophisticated thefts in human history. Not the land theft. Not the theft of land. Not the theft of labor. Not the theft of resources. The theft of the internal judge. The conscience. The fire that speaks before you act. The voice that asks, would you want this done to you? My grandfather never surrendered that judge. He carried it into the forest, into his healing, into every transaction he touched. He took one animal. Think about it. The farmers, the hunters of your forefathers, do they kill all animals because they want to be rich overnight? Did they clear the forest so that they can grab all the animals and be rich overnight? No. They took 1, 2, or 3, 4, left the rest to reproduce. They understand the cycle of life. My grandfather was a healer. He was an herbalist. Every herb has a significant message from God, and it has value to your human body. When my grandfather healed someone, or when people come to him for healing, he never charged them first. He gave them the medicine first. And he said to them, go. When you're healed, come back and say thank you if you so wish. And trust me, when they come back with a token, I saw him do it countless number of times. If you drop 100 naira in the plates, the man might take 90 naira and give you back 10 naira. Oh my goodness. It never meant anything to me until I grew up. That was the kind of knowledge I grew up with. That was the kind of wisdom that kept my conscience. Although I drifted in some part, but it was easy for me to come back home because it was my foundation. Think about it. That man gave a portion back, not because a pastor preached it, not because he feared punishment after death, because his conscience was still intact. And an intact conscience always arrives at the same place. Fairness, reciprocity, enough for everyone. 1452 did not just steal land. It stole the judge inside the man. And the revolution is simple. Take it back.